Welcome everyone to a very special edition of an OTRS Central Q&A. Hashtag OTRS. This was your chance to ask me any and every question you ever wanted to know about OTRS. I thought I was going to get more tough questions. Maybe I was secretly hoping for more tough questions. Maybe I'll do another one of these at some point in time down the road. But a lot of you did ask some very good questions, so I'm going to try my best to address them and answer them and give you a good answer now. At Jake B 253 asked, who has the highest body count of every OTRS host ever? Is that Utah slang, Jake, from the Tweeted Wolf Show? Because I really have no clue what the hell you're asking. Maybe that's just me at my advancing age. I'm not hip to the kids' lingo nowadays, but like I said, that's more likely not Utah slang. Is that asking us which one has the most kids, the most wives, the most murders under our belt? I don't know. I can't even really touch that one. At Beam of the Cash Man, how will you do the Royal Rumble contest, if at all, next year? Don't know yet. Hopefully have an answer for you sometime in January. Not sure if we're going to do it with the old OTRS guys. I don't know if it works so well if not all of us aren't there watching the event together. Maybe you'll do it like a YWC one. I'm not really sure yet. You'll know in January whether or not I'm going to do anything, and if so, what it is. At Ghost HPM, what's Metal D's favorite band? I believe it's Iron Maiden, but I hear he really loves Gwar. And also Queen as well. At Wrestling Crisis, whatever happened to the original OTRS channel? And at WWE ZD14, what really happened to the old channel, and how did all of you react? The original channel got hacked, don't know by who, and it doesn't really matter. It's happened, it's done, it's over with. How do we all react? Obviously, we didn't like it at the time. Pissed us off. It's part of the reason why we never really wanted to address it, because we don't want to sit there and give somebody like a big rub or big shout out being like, oh, I'm the one that did it, and we put a lot of effort into those videos and into that channel, and just somebody decided they were going to swipe it away from us. But like I said, again, it is what it is. It's what happened, and you learn to accept it and try and move on from it, I guess. At MC Big Bird, any funny filming stories? Too many to mention. I can remember filming the snipe hunt for the 10th event of the Mantathlon, and walking around trying to figure out where the hell we were going to record what, and having to figure out where we were going to record in the woods and in the freaking cemetery. I can remember the one time at my house I got this great concept. I'm like, I'm going to improve the production qualities of Off the Rope Show, and I'm going to sit there and use a 3-point lighting system, and I'm going to go buy these big 1,000-watt work lights, because that's going to be a great idea. Until the time I decided to plug all of these freaking heat lamps in. That's what they were, heat lamps. It was ridiculous. I decided to plug them all in, and we started recording. About halfway through the recording, bzz, power went off in my apartment, to the point where my landlord the next day had to go to the main breaker in another building and turn my power back on. So that would be another one that I could think of. At CandyLick21 has a few. Why did Triple T retire? Well, two things. One, I don't know if he really retired more so than I moved out here to Virginia. Two, it was kind of always a package deal with him that, as long as I was there and was going to do the videos, that he would still appear, but he maybe didn't really have the passion doing it on his own. Why don't you and the other OTRS guys do Google Plus sometimes for raw reviews? I don't know why we haven't yet. It's a little bit harder to coordinate that type of stuff. I would like to do that at some point. I hope we'll be able to do that at some point, at least once in a while. But hopefully not the hour-and-a-half or 2-hour variety, which it seems like some other people think is a good thing to do. If that's your bag, then that's great. If you guys enjoy watching that stuff, that's great. I'll try and do like maybe 30, 45 minutes at the very most. How long have you and the other OTRS guys been friends? I've been friends with Tony for about 6, almost 7 years. Mikey, about 3, 4. Dwayne and Mark, about 2, 2.5. Let's see here. What else we got? Your last question was, when your other channel got hacked, did y'all save any of the old videos from that channel that you can upload again? No, unfortunately, we did not. So all those videos are pretty much lost to us. If any of you have some of those old videos and you'd like to share them with me, maybe send them to me. I would appreciate that greatly. If you want to maybe re-upload them, that's fine too. At Works of M. Hunter G, I really enjoyed the 12 Steps to Recovery for WWE series. Do you plan to revive it anytime soon? Not particularly. I'm not at that level of frustration with the WWE where I feel like doing that series. That was something from the old channel, so I'd rather, for the most part, try to do new stuff instead of rehashing old things. Good question, though. At RobDollar32, excuse me. Are you going to use Summer as a character in any of your videos? Oh, yes. Yeah, remember, before Smokey passed away, he officially let her into Deuces and Fours. Yes, that was at the behest of Mommy, but Summer's in the Deuces and Fours. She's the member now, so to speak, at least for the time being. So she's going to get featured in some videos. There's no question about that. At Javier Ortabo, which are your top 5 favorite videos of the former OTRS YouTube channel? Event 10 of the Mantathlon, the Snipe Hunt, is one of my favorites. The video where Tony and I talked about John Cena, the video where Tony and I did the Survivor Series 1997 review. That was another one. My favorite video of all time for sure has to be the WrestleMania 27 preview. That was my favorite video that our channel ever did. At Orton G. Armstrong, what was the first pay-per-view you watched with one or more of the old OTRS co-hosts? It was 2008 WrestleMania 24 at my house. Watched it on the big screen. It was Tony, Mikey, and myself. Also, would you ever consider doing OTRS with other co-hosts now that you live in Virginia? I'd consider it, but I don't know how willing I am to do it at this point. I'd have to find the right people. They'd have to know what the fuck they're talking about. I'd have to look at them and say, oh, you're not going to be some lame-ass, charisma-less slug on camera. So, I'd think about it, but I'm not sure yet. At Recopaji, what do you think about Russian wrestlers that have worked at WWE? Are you surprised that OTRS has fans in Russia? No, because we have people that watch us in like Bangladesh and Japan and Kuwait and all these other different places. It's part of the reality of the internet world. You can have a person watch you here, there, and everywhere. It doesn't make you a huge deal or anything, but pleased to have people watch us in Russia. Maybe we can knock back a Smirnoff someday. As far as Russian wrestlers, hey, I'm all for the internationalization, the globalization of wrestling. It wasn't huge on Kozlov, but some Russian characters in the past, like the Kolovs, I liked. At Jordan Tabinor, which OTRS on-screen combination was your favorite to watch? For me personally, it had to be you, Tony, and Metal D. My personal favorite has to be myself and Tony. Other combinations that I liked were Metal D and Tony, Metal D and Mike, and then Mark and Metal D. Yeah, I'd have to say that. At Blue Goblin 01, excuse me, your other question, Jordan Tabinor. Ever disagree with something an OTRS member said about wrestling to the point where you're ready to start an argument? Oh, yes, especially with Tony all the time. Because I'd sit there and we would talk about, when it came to Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart, and I'd sit there and I'd admit it, and I still admitted that he was an egomaniac, he did all these incredibly selfish things, blah, 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 and that's who he was, that's what he did. But Tony would never admit that about Bret Hart. I never got that. Bret Hart was incredibly selfish. He was an egomaniac. He was all these things, just like Shawn Michaels was, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin was. A lot of those top guys over the years have been. And sometimes you have to be because of the situation. So if there's ever a thing where Tony and you want to get us an argument started up real quick, that's probably one way to do it. Or another one might be like Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, who was better. If you remember that video, that might be another one of my favorite videos that we ever did. Yeah, that's bound to start an argument from a wrestling standpoint. It's not getting into football and other stuff. At Blue Goblin 01, any chance we'll see the OTRS back together again for a video in the future? Fuck yeah, let's hope so. I make it back there at some point in time. I'll do everything I can to get everybody, including damn B-Rad. And we'll have one big OTRS shindig video. At Chaz Rules OK, what happened to the assumed Jeff Jarrett position t-shirts? Just not going to happen. No reason to. What happened to Relish? He was awesome. Metal D sucked. I agree. I wanted Dwayne to be Relish, not Metal D. He was a metal fan. Relish was an idea for one type of on-screen persona. Went the other way with him, went with Metal D. Ultimately, it honestly fit him better, even though I would have loved to have seen how Relish played out. All right, let's move on here. At Robert Scott Reed asks, will the WrestleMania reviews be coming back on? Best review series on YouTube, I thought. Thanks for doing them. You know what? That I will actually consider redoing again, because maybe now I'll look back and maybe my perspective on some things have changed. I would definitely explore reviewing all the WrestleManias again as we head into March, into WrestleMania season, in part because maybe I won't have to sit through and watch all 29 of them. I can just maybe pick and choose certain spots that I want to rewatch stuff again. But a lot of that stuff obviously is still very fresh in my mind. Have any of you guys been or thought of coming to London? I'm sure your UK followers would put you up. I've thought about going there at some point. I know I have. I can't speak to the rest of the guys. I'm sure the British Fist would love for the Schleg Daddy to come to the UK. I'm sure Black Rose 91 would love to see me come there. I guess. I don't know. I'm just assuming. Who knows? But yeah, I'm sure one of them would put us up. We'd go to Peterborough or wherever Dan and NJ are from. At Rare Breed RKO 97, how old is each member of OTRS, and is the OTRS crew still going to WrestleMania 30? As far as the ages, I'm 32. Tony and Mike, I believe, are both 31, and I think Mark's like 44. Dwayne's around the same age. Yeah, I think that's the ages. WrestleMania 30, I would love to go. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. I won't say no for sure. It's leaning towards no. But if I get word that Hulk Hogan's going to be involved in the event and maybe wrestle a match at the event, that's one thing I haven't seen in a very, very long time is Hulk Hogan up close and personal. So would I do everything I could to make it happen for that type of event? Yes. Would I also like to see The Undertaker wrestle again in person for the first time in many years? Yes. So there's always a chance. I just don't know how big of a chance at this point. At MBFBCC22, which OTRS member would never wear pants while filming videos? I guess it depends. Tony was notorious for wearing shorts, and sometimes less than shorts. Sometimes maybe Mikey, sometimes maybe me, sometimes maybe all of us. It just depended on our mood in the moment, I suppose. Funny question. At the Y Factor 22, what are your current thoughts on Wrestling Jesus? Current thoughts, frankly, I really don't have any. And that's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just kind of one of those deals. I know he does his own thing, and he has his style of videos that he does, and he has his audience that loves him, and that's all fine and good. Wrestling Jesus definitely has a place in the YWC. There's one thing you can never say about the man is that he makes things dull. He doesn't make things dull. He makes them very, very interesting. And, the bottom line is that, there are times where he's right and there's times where he's wrong. He's kind of like me in a sense that he always thinks he's right even when he is wrong. That's just the way it is. I don't have any beef or animosity towards him. Stuff in the past is stuff in the past, and that's just the way it is. There were things that he was probably spot on and right about, and, maybe I don't want to admit it, and there's probably stuff that I was spot on about that he probably doesn't want to admit. It doesn't make one person better than the other. So I don't have any issues with Wrestling Jesus. Like I said, I leave him alone. He does his own thing. We do our own thing. He doesn't really bother us. I have no animus towards him. I have no hatred towards him. I have no dislike towards him. In fact, in my own way, I still, think Wrestling Jesus, brings something valuable to the YWC. I really do. I really do. At Assistant Chef 22, why in the living fuck did Mike stop going by Mr. Route? It was kind of one of those things that he was dealing with some stuff in his personal life at the time, and that Mr. Route character was kind of a representation of everything he was trying to get away from. So by switching things up, and, it was one of those things where maybe we were thinking that art or life would imitate the art. So if he did it on the art side and he went by Mike and he had a different way of doing things and a different persona, a different attitude, that it would carry over into his own life. And to some degree that has happened with him. He's, rebounded very nicely, frankly, and he's got a lot going for him now. So that's kind of the reason why he did that. At Disco Ben, also known as at Nebic Sid, do you plan on redoing some of the lost videos like 15 Reasons Jeff Jarrett Sucks? Redoing them? No, not really. Like I said, I may redo the WrestleMania review series, but, that's something a little bit different. As far as redoing videos like Randy Orton Sucks and Jeff Jarrett Sucks and those type of videos, no, I don't think so. They're done. They're in the past. Why try to recapture them and redo them? I'd rather focus on trying to do, new stuff and find new ways to hopefully at least somewhat amuse and entertain some of you. How different would OTRS be had the Orton rant not been as successful? I guess it depends on how you define successful. I mean, it was easily our most watched video on the channel, but in no means did I think it was the best video our channel ever did. Not even close. The only reason I missed not being able to see that video was because Feisty appeared in that video for, I believe, a couple of minutes. So I wish I still had that video just so that way I could see her moving around and see her when she was still alive. maybe there would have been something else that would have come along that helped us grow our audience. But at the time when I did that Orton rant, I think we were just under 500 subscribers, and even like a week or two after that, we were only up to like 1,500. So there was still a lot of other stuff that we did to help grow our audience. There was still a lot of other stuff that we did that people liked, or people liked to hate, whatever the case might be. So maybe we would have been successful. Would we have been as successful? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so, but you just never know. Because maybe if I would have went in a different direction and did like 15 Reasons John Cena Sucks, maybe they got an even bigger reaction. But the Orton video was perfectly timed. It was the right video on the right topic about the right person at the right moment. That's just the way it is. At Caleb is God, who is each OTRS's member favorite and most hated wrestler of all time? Tony's favorite of all time is Bret the Hitman Hart. My favorite of all time is obviously Hulk Hogan. Same thing with Mikey. Metal D is Ric Flair. And Mark, I believe, is... Shit. I'm trying to remember who Mark's is. Yeah, it might be Ric Flair for him as well. If I'm thinking back correctly. I'm pretty confident. No, I'm not. Dwayne's favorite of all time is Tully Blanchard. Mark's favorite of all time is John Felix Anthony Cena. Tony's favorite of all time has to be Hulk Hogan. Mike's favorite of all time has to be Christian, and mine's still Hulk Hogan. Anyways, that's Scotty Serpico 19. Will the old videos ever be uploaded to the new channel, or have they been lost forever? They've, for the most part, been lost forever, unless some of you out there in the audience have some of them saved, and you'd love to send them to me, or you'd love to upload them, whatever the case might be. So, unfortunately, a lot of them have been lost forever. At Desiization, what inspired you to start making YouTube videos? Well, it was one of these things where my one friend Jarrell was doing a show called Pile Driven Respect when he was doing his radio broadcasting school outside of Chicago. So they were doing this wrestling show, and the people he did it with were complete morons, and I use that term very loosely. They were morons. I mean, these are the type of people that thought things like, I don't know, that you should have a wrestling show where your main event would be like Davey Richards versus Eddie Edwards, and you think that's awesome. It's the drizzling shits. So I would listen to it, and then Tony started listening to it every Monday from like 1:30 to 3, and then we started talking about it. We had talked way back when about maybe doing something like that, but then we heard Jarrell doing it, and we were like, God, if those idiots could be doing it on the radio, we're better than these a-holes. So why don't we start doing it? That's kind of what started the whole ball rolling. It really did. It was Tony and I. And then the other people were kind of added on as we went along. Mikey very, very early in the process, and then Mark, and then Dwayne. B-Rad was thrown in there too. Let's see here. What else we got? At Lord of Hosts, did you guys ever think about making a podcast? We actually did at one point in time. We had one for a couple of months back when we first started the channel. It was on Blog Talk Radio. I actually kind of miss doing that just a little bit. Maybe I'll do it again at some point in time down the road. I've been talking about it forever, just never really gotten around to doing it. What was the most watched video on the original channel? Was by far, it was the 15 Reasons Randy Orton Sucks. I think that had double the views of anything else on our channel. At Total Heel, did at MM_OTRS have sexual intercourse with one of the Bellas? Yes, probably both, and no, that's not exactly a tremendous accomplishment. But he still did it because he was marvelous. At AnLies1923, did the partnership with Google cause any tension between members of OTRS now that money is or was involved? No, I don't think it caused any tension, I don't believe. It could have been me in my own bubble. I don't think it really caused, because we never really got to a point where we got too much from the original channel anyways. As far as it causing tension, I think the tension came in more so is once we lost the partnership on the original channel, we got kind of frustrated, Wasn't necessarily the right way to go about it, but hey, that's kind of what it was. I mean, you're asking the question, so I'm giving you the answer that you asked for. But I don't really think it caused too much tension. Like I said, again, that could be my perspective, so I could be way off base. Maybe there was other tension towards me. Maybe I was tense towards them and don't realize it. I don't really know. At Slimyath, How many kids do each member of the OTRS crew have? I have one. Tony has one. Mikey has none. Mark has none that he acknowledges or knows about. Dwayne has none that we know of or acknowledges. The leader in the clubhouse will always be Smokey, Lord rest his soul, because he had at least 8 confirmed shorties that I knew of. That was a man right there. And who knows how many Precious had floating around. But I could confirm Smokey's 8. So he's the far and away clubhouse leader, no question about it. At CM finishes out this Q&A. What's the worst wrestling pay-per-view you guys ever reviewed? And are you still in contact with the other OTRS members? God, the worst one we ever reviewed. Towards the top of that list, one that we all pretty much were in on, maybe with the exception of Dwayne, was WrestleMania 27. That was a very bad show. There's just no way of really looking at that positively. That was just a very bad show. Trying to think of what else was just really like the drizzling, god-awful shits that we all reviewed together, but that's one that really stands out to me. Am I still in contact with the other OTRS members? Yes, probably not as much as I would like to be. I maybe talk to Dwayne once every other week, maybe more than that. Mark, same thing. I've talked to him a couple times, same thing as Dwayne since I've been out here. So actually it's probably more like once a month for those guys so far. I need to do a better job of reaching out to them more. Tony, maybe once a week, maybe. There's a little stretch of time where we didn't talk to each other, but now it's about once a week, especially with his current situations going on. Mikey, it's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes I'll talk to him on Facebook. Otherwise, it might be once a week, once every other week. Frankly, I could do a better job of talking to them more, reaching out to them more. But, sometimes that's what happens. I'm 1,200 miles or so away from them, and they've got their own lives, and I've got my own life. I work 6 days a week at my job, so I'm kind of a busy guy. And they're busy people too. So hopefully I'll keep more in contact with them as it goes along. So thanks to all of you that submitted your questions for this Q&A. I hope I answered some of the questions you wanted to know about OTRS. Said again, I might do another one of these some point in time down the road. Hopefully I'll get some more tough questions about some of the things in OTRS's almost 3-year history now. But thanks for submitting your questions. The next Q&A topic is actually in the description box down below. So you can go ahead and start tweeting those questions to @OffTheRope Show.